Hello, I'm Elgato and welcome back to the video. Today we're going to talk about the brand new version of Minecraft which is released on the Xbox Pocket Edition and Windows 10. It's known as the Bedrock Edition, and a lot of people have either only played this version or only played the other versions, which means you might not be aware that this version is actually significantly harder than those other ones, which is surprising given it's the same version which is available on phones where they have to use touch controls. But no, this version is genuinely harder for a lot of reasons you don't even realize till you get under the surface of it, and it's something I've never heard of people talking about, so I figured I'd talk about exactly how, why, and in which ways this version is harder than the old one, and hopefully you all do enjoy it. So like this if you do like it, because it helps out the channel, and let's say you do like this sort of analysis into how the thing, why the game is harder, how it's harder, and also just kind of like seeing the weird ways in which differences affect, different versions, because this version was built kind of from scratch with a lot of different philosophies, and those different philosophies led to some very strange places, like the first one, for instance, which is the, the distance between biomes, and for that matter, the speed of getting from any biome to another one. So if you don't know, on this version of the game, minecarts are slower than they were before. Even going downhill, this is the max speed you can get to. Again, this is mostly as a console player, going from one version to the other, but this is like kind of a depressing speed. The fact that minecarts go just about the same speed as like walking. It's not too great, but that's a thing. By the way, you can in fact sit in your minecart at the bottom of the ocean if that's a thing you want to do. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can. And then even the boats, which again they're pretty much the exact same thing, except they require a shovel, so they're just a little bit trickier of a boat. But yeah, they're the same thing, and they just go a little bit slow. I can't even put my hand on why or exactly how much slower, but it's about 10-15% slower, and it's just a really strange thing because they make the world so much bigger. The biome scale is basically set to large all the time. Bear in mind that the gap between the forest biome that you're looking over there and the ice biome over there, look at the distance between that. If I want to go to a jungle biome, it's literally 5,000 blocks for the closest one that way, 5,000 blocks by boat, which is so long, but it's crazy that you have to go all these distances to get from one place to another, and that really adds to the difficulty of the game, because instead of being able to just go 200 blocks and setting up a railway that's 200 blocks, you have to work out some way of transporting at 5,000 blocks on a regular basis, and that's just ridiculous. So yeah, you get giant oceans on this game, which makes the game a lot harder. You get giant biomes in general, which makes the game a lot harder, and you have slower transportation methods to go along with it. Horses are slower, minecarts are slower, boats are slower. The potions have less time to them. I know they've standardized that now, but the potions have less time because of this version, and it's crazy that that makes the game so much harder, but it really does. Or at the very least, you might not argue harder, but it makes the game take longer, and it also makes the game have less, direct stuff going on there. So yeah, that's the first way this version of Minecraft is harder that you might not known about, or the first and second, but let's just say the first way. The second way is actually to do the Ender Dragon, and I found this out firsthand in literally the worst and most embarrassing way possible, because I was speedrunning Minecraft. I was making pretty good time. I think it'd been like an hour and 45 minutes, something like that, and I was, I got into the end, and I'm like, yes, we can do this. We can kill the dragon in 5 minutes. Well, the thing about the dragon on this version is he's so much more aggressive. Again, if you've played the old console version, or you've played the PC Java version, especially if you played it before the update, the dragon is always just this kind of formality at the end of the game. Once you've defeated him once, you can defeat him over and over again. It's really easy. On this version, however, look at the aggression of the dragon. So I'm hoping we die here so we can go back to the overworld, but if we don't die, that's kind of a wonderful thing. But yeah, basically, oh, and also, by the way, the Endermen, way easier to see you, and they're stronger too. So the Ender Dragon fight in general is just a lot harder to do, because we looked at an Enderman while accidentally fighting that Enderman, for instance. So let's assume you don't look at Enderman because you're wearing a pumpkin, something like that. The dragon himself is genuinely harder too. So he's going to come off me right now, and he's going to knock me into the air just like that, and I'm dead from that. But he can knock you so far into the air that you cannot recover from it, and he'll do that repeatedly. If you try to go for his towers, he'll do the exact same thing. She, I should say. I always call the dragon a he. I know it's a she. Her name is Jean, by the way. Fun fact. But yeah, basically, I know that's how the dragon is. But it's crazy on this version. It's so much more aggressive, and you have to watch out so much more. And, the times where you could defeat the dragon in 2 minutes, once you really nail down your time, that's, oh, how did I just teleport into lava? What are the odds of that happening? But, the times where you could do that are gone, and that's a thing that is past now. So, speaking of things which have made harder, that death was not because the game was harder, that was because of a random mistake. I swear, I did not know there was a lava pool back there, but now I do, and we can talk about the third way that Minecraft is harder, and that is mob spawning, and basically regional difficulty seems to be either a different system or just not here altogether, because it doesn't use the Java system, where the longer you stay in a chunk, the more odds you get of mob spawning with armor on. It seems to start at about 5%, or even lower sometimes, on the other versions of the game, and then it goes up to sometimes, if you go there really long, about 50%. On this version, it seems to be fixed, or at least it starts at a much higher value. Again, I haven't seen it go up much, but if you've been in a world for any amount of time at all, you're going to see how, okay, so for instance, it's meant to be 5% of zombies with armor, and I think it's 5% of zombies with a weapon. So we got a zombie with a weapon in the first 3, which is pretty nuts, but could be just a statistical thing, right? So we spawned in a bunch of zombies. You're going to see how, okay, that didn't exactly go how I thought it would. But basically, you usually, if you spawn in a bunch of zombies, or if a lot of zombies spawn, you'll find they have armor on way more frequently than the other versions, and that is because mobs just have more armor. And you might think, well, mob armor's not a big deal. It means they'll drop it more often, because they've also dropped that more likely. However, so, okay, we're all away from the zombies, are we? So, there we go. You can see we got 2 zombies of armor just from 5 zombies spawned. And that one has a full set of gold armor, by the way. And basically, this is a thing that happens way more frequently with way more armor. Like, on the other versions, it's 5% to get any piece of armor. On this version, it seems like, 10%, maybe 20% to get armor. And then once they have armor, they're way more likely to get more. Like, if we spawn in even more. Okay, you can see 2 zombies out of those 4. And basically, my point being is that there is either a higher regional difficulty count, or it's a different system, or it's just higher altogether. We haven't worked out exactly what it is, but we can tell there are way more zombies with armor. And if you don't know, I mean, this is pretty obvious, but if you are, maybe it's something you haven't thought about, zombies with armor are, of course, harder to kill. So if I try to kill a regular zombie, then it's going to take me, I think it's 3 hits of a diamond sword, 2 of critical hits maybe, but it's going to take me that number of hits. Oh, geez. But if they have some armor on, let me show you how many hits it takes then. So 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 hit, 4 hit, 5 hit. So that was actually only 5 hits because it was, I guess, just gold. But my point being is that's still, 66% more hits, and basically every mob is going to take more hits because on average they have more armor, and that's a bad thing in general. So the next way in which Minecraft is a lot harder on this version, and again it's like I guess it's kind of like a tedium thing again, but it generally makes the game harder. It means you have to watch your hits a lot more, is basically when you're hitting mobs. So there are so many zombies around. I'm surrounded by zombies. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly just kill all of those guys, oh, that includes me, but we're going to kill all the mobs, and we're going to move on to the next way Minecraft's harder, because basically if you do try to fight a mob, like let's say you have a zombie with some armor, he takes a lot of hits, so you try to hit him a bunch of times, and as you're going to see, when you hit him, it's not just the first hit which takes your sword damage, but also any other hits in his general direction. Just because there's a mob on the other side of your sword, it means you will take a durability on your sword. So this means if you, you can see my sword vibrate if I try to spam click. You have to time your hits like you do on the PC if you don't want to waste durability. So it's kind of like a soft version of the whole thing. I tested in the other versions, and either it's not there anymore because I tested on my Switch, or it's in a much weaker form. But on this version, let me show you how fast you can waste like a gold sword. If you don't know, this is 33 durability, but just by spamming this like this, and while they're in invincibility phase, we can waste our entire gold sword just on like 3 zombies like that. And you can see when the zombie's dead, it's still taking durability, so you have to time your hits. You can't just be willy-nilly about it, because otherwise bad things will happen. So what's the last way in which Minecraft is much harder in this version? It's one I wanted to save for last, actually, because it is such an intense thing, and it's kind of tricky to see, so we might have to do this in creative, because we'll probably die, but it is the Wither boss. So obviously, as well as making the dragon harder, because they wanted to make the end like a new thing again, they also made on this version the let's quickly place that there. They also made in this version the Wither boss a lot harder. So it's a little bit hard to see at first, so place down the 3 things. As you can see, there's Wither, looks exactly the same, kind of functions exactly the same. I know we'll die, but we'll switch to creative. Functions exactly the same, but he's a lot trickier on this version, because 1, you can see, like he fires a much faster kind of, at least to me it seems much faster, but 2, he's got the fact that, he's going to get away from you much better, so if you try to chase him and net him with a sword, he's going to avoid that way, way better on this version. Like, he moves the instant you go near him, even. And then also, as well as that, which is pretty nuts by itself, so again, bear in mind, this is the version designed for touch controls. I have no idea how you would beat the Wither in touch, but let's say that you somehow, you get all that stuff done, you can avoid his stuff, then, okay, so we'll go into creative quickly. Let's say you can do that, you knock him in a corner, or you have a bow, you do all the damage you can to him. So, as well as the fact that the Wither's doing his always just, recovering factor, let's say you have a Smite sword, because Smite will help you beat the Wither. What actually happens is at half health, the Wither does this, cooldown attack, so, he's running into the wall here, that's perfect for me. So, at about half health, the Wither does this cooldown attack, and this cooldown attack is really, really effective. By the way, Wither in creative, apparently a pretty decent way to dig a tunnel. Once he gets half health, he does this recovering attack, so you can't damage him during that time, and he also spawns in some wither skeletons during that. Or it's not, I guess it's not damage, but he actually spawns in wither skeletons, as you're going to see somewhere around here. I guess he maybe killed the wither skeletons, but he does spawn in wither skeletons, and he makes that even harder. And from now on, the fight is even harder than it was before. He's doing more explosives, he's doing more crazy stuff, and yeah, basically the wither fight is much harder on this version. Look how much faster he's going away from me. And also, there's 3 wither skeletons to deal with, which is a pretty nuts addition. So basically, they made every boss fight harder. Really, that's just 2 boss fights right now, but we can probably expect that going forwards too. The brand new boss fight that's coming towards the end of this year will probably be harder as well. And my main point here with this video is that every aspect of Minecraft is a little bit harder, including, by the way, the crafting. If you want to craft in this version, guess what? The crafting's confusing and all over the place. It's like the worst of both worlds system. However, this crafting, unlike all of the other features which have changed and are inexplicably harder, is kind of more of just like, well, this is tricky. But everything else in this, you might question, why did they make this edition so much harder than? And I think the simple answer is because they rebuilt it from scratch with Minecraft as a reference point. They were always adding features from Minecraft for the most part, and when they're adding something which has existed in Minecraft for years, Endermen got really easy to deal with after the first little bit of a while, because you realize how to deal with them. They make them harder. The Ender Dragon, really too easy. It takes 2 minutes after you know what you're doing. Well, they made it harder and much harder to fight. The Wither, for instance, they gave it the armor, which you saw him use a little bit ago there, because they want to make the game harder, because Minecraft has existed when they made this game. That's my understanding, and they basically just made a game which is Minecraft with more difficulty added, because that's what they wanted as developers, and that's kind of what Microsoft wants as a game. They want a game with more longevity, and you can do that by making a game longer and, by making it harder and longer. So with that said, thank you very much for watching today's video. Like if you liked it, share if you liked it, subscribe if you're around here, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.